Here's a short history of the universe. The universe was created and gave existence to all the matter and energy in the cosmos. Through a series of atomic and molecular reactions, together with the effect of gravity, the galaxies and stars were formed. Many of these stars were giants, which after reaching the end of their life died with a supernova, thus giving birth to a nebula and other stars. One of these stars was our Sun, which also formed planets, asteroids, and comets in its orbit. Earth was then created, and after a very complex evolutionary process, life was born, which evolved to insects, animals, and eventually human life, after a series of mass extinctions throughout the ages. Humankind then built the first civilizations in Sumeria, with all the ziggurats. Then Egypt rose with its pyramids, pharaohs, and rich culture. Next came the powerful Assyrian warriors, the greatest at their time. These fell out of pride while Babylon took the lead with its immense tower, the Great Tower of Confusion. Persian warriors took over for a brief time, later overthrown by the Greeks, who spread their culture, science, and philosophy all over the known world. Then came Rome, establishing the foundations of European civilization and dominating the world, but they also fell after being attacked by the barbarians. The Byzantine Empire remained standing for an additional 1,000 years with the spread of Christianity, the Christianization of the world. Next was the Renaissance in Western Europe, the discovery of the Americas, and the scientific revolution with a cultural, social, and educational revolution that changed the world forever, which led to our modern age that we currently live in with all this technology. The industries began polluting the world, and the technology evolved very rapidly, exponentially, as a major change in the 20th century, which ended up leading to 2 world wars. Next, non-stop, came the moon landing, the popularization of computers, the rise of the internet, and last, the artificial intelligence. This is the quick story of the universe and about mankind. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone. I created the universe Xhyn to teach physics and philosophy. In this universe there is a planet called Ravens, and in this planet there is a city called Rome's. The planet is mostly a desert and is almost completely lifeless, which is why the city of Rome's is seen like a desert miracle. The planet also has a moon and a lunar base that is called Pindorama, which is also a magnificent city ruled by Mazaton, a blue creature. The city of Rome has 4 corners, which belongs to each of the major ethnicities on Earth. At the center, there is a ziggurat, where Xhyn, the king, rules all of the kingdom of ravens. Surrounding the city is Surat Raver, a great warrior which hunts and protects the city against the danger of horrible monsters that come from the wilderness. There are also 4 beings, one in each corner of the city, and they rule each of the quarters. These same 4 beings also ride on a spaceship called Xhyn, which transport them to any location in space and time. The Xhyn is also a being called Vlodo that can often become a portal to another dimension. At the center of the spaceship is a powerful rock called Sarmates, which brought life to the planet Ravens. It is called the Rock of Wisdom. Often the spaceship is piloted by Surat Raver, and there are times that even King Xhyn rides in the spaceship to fulfill missions throughout space and time. Xhyn is half fish and half human, and it is also known as the Prince of Peace. The planet has an angel protector called Golg, and the solar system where the planet is located is in Andromeda Galaxy. There are also 2 famous gnomes. They're called Zorg and Zervina, whose purpose is to teach physics and philosophy. They are very popular and have several lesson plans and have many fans. There is also Ogo, the writer of many stories, and Jaconovita, the daydreamer of ravens. The citizens of Ravens also have times of celebration with dancing and colorful costumes. There is a band called Jasterstons, and they play and sing music, which is a demonstration of culture inspiring many people in the city, and everyone is very proud of being part of this beautiful civilization. This is the Xhyn universe, and this is a brief summary of all of this reality created to teach physics and philosophy. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the great daily four of Rome's. The day is divided by 4 ages. There are then 4 personalities. Time and space is a reason for fun. Xhyn is the great king of the day. He tells the 4 beings to keep spinning the wheels of space-time. He is the one who gives the great 4 the instructions. The 4 beings plus Xhyn, the 5th element, live in a great and most beautiful city called Rome's. This city exists over an asteroid, roaming between stars in the Milky Way galaxy. From the asteroid called Pindorama, Loniferiongi rules the morning hours. The sunrise and the blossom of flowers marks the beginning of a new day. Euryclades rules the afternoon hours, where everyone is awake and working and running their daily routine. This is where the land is alive and functioning. Xhyn rules the early hours of the night. That is when the day starts its farewell, and that is the end of a spinning period. The stars and cosmos open the sky for a new beginning. Last but not least comes the hours after midnight and before morning. Crepe rules when everyone is asleep and dreaming. These hours are quiet and filled with mystery. Having introduced the great 4 beings in Xhyn, Gog is who holds the rule and the supports for a planet called Ravens. This planet has a city that is also called Rome's and is an exact copy of the city in Pindorama. Rome's is a standard for interplanetary cities. There are many mysteries, many things everywhere, and all things are ruled by the common universal principle. All things are alive, constantly flowing and changing, but obeying the same rules. The Supreme Intelligence. Rome's has a great pyramid of gold housing a powerful artificial intelligence programmed to rule the nation with justice. The Supreme Intelligence has the answers to all questions. It is a server like Google, composed of all information known to mankind. Everyone in the city of Rome is connected to each other by the server called the Supreme Artificial Intelligence. All people connected with the internet, which is the grid pattern in the city of Rome's, like a web for the flow of information, bits of energy in the electromagnetic spectrum. The citizens of this great nation are scientists, philosophers, writers, mathematicians, and they live nobly by honoring the ultimate knowledge while investigating the nature of all things in the cosmos and then contemplate the beauties of life. The Supreme Intelligence is housed inside the pyramid of gold, inside a cylindrical capsule from where Vajran talks to him, debating what to do and how to rule the nation of Rome. And this was an introduction to Pindorama and a quick glance to the marvels that surrounds the Ravenical structure that holds the fictitious world of explorers together. What exactly does it have to do with reality? It simply means that the universe is rich with details and strange laws forming an amazing fractal geometry of reality at the macro and micro level. Everything is beautiful and filled with wisdom. What an artist. Life and existence is like music. It flows. This fluid of energy makes up our reality through the many dimensions of space and time. The fluid is comprised of bits of information that runs along like a computer code. Life and existence is the running of these codes. Life is the flow of a stream, the crossing of a river, a trip through a wormhole. Maybe the entire cosmos is inside a wormhole. Life is a journey. Some moments in life are unforgettable. It is important to rely on the small or great happy events, since that builds our trust that within the sea of fluctuations, we will be heading towards an even greater and beautiful event in the future. There are wormholes all around, connecting parallel worlds and universes. In the meantime, the universe continues spinning, life continues to blossom, and we continue living, contemplating, exploring, and thinking. How fun! That's quite of a trip. Everyone, thanks for watching. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to tell the story of the Battle of Gods at Gog. Life is beautiful and we must live to the fullest. Imagination is bigger than knowledge. And existence is all eternity, peace, joy, and wisdom. How do we humans see the beginning of time, the Big Bang, and how does the beginning relate to the present? Was the beginning perfect and then chaos took over? What is the reason for life? What is the purpose of existence? Where will we be going in the future? Is there a perfect universe awaiting us in the future? One day, Zeno got tired of telling stories to people in a new heaven and new earth, and he decided to go to sleep over the grass. He told God to allow him to sleep for 1,000 earth years. He fell asleep and had a dream. In the dream, he saw a creature whose body was only the head. Above the face, the head extended 3 faces in length. Mesoton on Earth had taken the place of the evil angel called Nicolaitis. So now everyone enjoyed a beautiful planet without any evil in it. It would be a short while before Mesoton would be transferred to the planet Ravens, leaving his place for someone really special. Zeno was living in the earthly paradise when something started to bother him, and he could not understand what it was. He decided to sleep, and that is when he had a great dream that would change his life and the universe. A creature called Elohim Neva appeared to him telling a story. Zeno embarks on a trip deep inside his mind to learn about the universe. This creature said, "My name is Elohim Neva. I am in your dream to tell a story. I was the first being who came from God in the moment of creation. I witnessed everything." That weird creature then took Zeno to the galaxy of Andromeda, ruled by the angel known as Gog. Once there, Elohim Neva started to talk about what had happened. Gog chose a planet to form life in Andromeda. He created hosts of angels to help him in his creation. The name of the planet was Ravens. Of all the angels, two reached popularity for their great powers. They were Xhyn and Nicolloid. Being very powerful, they gave birth to other angels. The angels of Xhyn were called the Magogeans, while the angels of Nicolloid were called the Lunaticos. In Zeno's dream, Gaul gives the major control over ravens to two angels. One was Xhyn and the other was Nicolloid. These were angels in Zeno's dream, but they were actually two rulers of two separate nations on earth. Xhyn is good, humble, and benevolent, but Nicolloid was rude, evil, and ambitious. Eventually, the control of ravens in Zeno's dream would be given only to Xhyn but first there would be war. In the beginning of time, evil did not exist. The situation was of a paradise like that of the Garden of Eden. There were two beings just like there were true trees. Xynix is the tree of life, and Nicoloid is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. These beings were living in harmony with each other at first, but this situation would change. Nicoloid was rather rude and cold-hearted by his own nature. There was the potential for things to become chaotic in the future. With time, it would be clear who is good and who is evil. Evil exists to teach beings to praise the good. Evil lasts for a time, but goodness lasts for all eternity. After many years from earthly mud, life was created. The earthly clay evolved through several animals until reaching the human race. From mud, life was created, and for evolution, intelligent life was created. After many millenniums undergoing genetic evolution, intelligent life appeared. Nicoloid created the angel Magog and other angels to teach an intelligent race called the Ravenicals about the universe. The angels of Nicoloid, however, fell in love with the Ravenicals and had relationship with the woman and man of ravens. The purpose of the angels was to serve humans, Ravenicals. The angels possessed by the light of the Almighty were told to guide the intelligent life through evolution of knowledge. Nicoloid also had this purpose, but he fell deeply. He later was filled with envy towards the humans and became Satan. Before rebelling against God, the purpose of Nicoloid was to teach humans the knowledge of the creation. To help accomplish this mission, Nicoloid created Magog, his son, to teach humans the hidden workings of the universe. This great harmony does not last long, and Magog starts to sin by enjoying pleasures with humans becoming impure. This leads to a great disapproval from God above that decides to punish these angels that became evil. At this point, humans talk to the snake, Magog, and eats of the forbidden fruit. They sin against God and join Nicoloid's rebellion. They are soon expulsed from the paradise that they had enjoyed for a short while. Seeing the promiscuity, Xyn's Raver grew extremely mad. He ordered one of the Ravenicals, called Srap Raver, to kill all of the sons of the Lunaticals and Ravens because they were destroying the morality of the planet. The sons of the Lunaticals were the offspring of the relationship between them and the woman of ravens. War against the forces of darkness is declared. Humans suffer the worst things. Suffering enters the universe. God punished Magog for failing to teach, and Magog lost wings and fell on ravens, becoming an ordinary man. Nickeloid then ordered that Magog should kill Suhat Behavior. The forces of darkness are also willing to fight, but are destined to lose. The two met over high mountains. Rat Raver raised his sword. His dark hair turned red and lightning hit the sword. Magog was so angry that he turned into a monster who rushed towards Rat Raver. The monster tried to eat Rat Raver, but Rat Raver passed under his legs and killed Magog by spearing his sword into the monster's back. War breaks up. Xynex Hava orders Rat Raver to kill all the sons of Lunaticos, and Nickeloid orders Magog to kill Happy Haven. Peace is over and problems start to arise in creation. Nickeloid, Magog, and all of the Lunaticos became fallen angels. The angels Xynex Hava, the Havenical called Rat Raver, and the rest of the angels were the hope of a better future. Now that the bad angels have fallen and become demons, this represents human sufferings in a battle between good and evil. This condition lasts for a short while, if compared to all eternity. It is also an age of much learning and writings and philosophy. Humans learn what is evil and how they should be instead. This teaches them to praise the good and to hate sin. One-third of the humans, however, are overtaken by the forces of darkness and lose their souls to hell. Rat Raver was victorious while the soul of Magog was thrown to hell, becoming the king of demons. Gog, seeing this, gave to Xynex Hava the Sarmadis rock, which made anyone who possessed it the power of knowing everything. That irritated Nickeloid, who became extremely envious. He decided to make war against all creation. The Lunaticos fell and turned into monsters called Rocanos. Many of them fell on ravens, losing the merit of angels. They began to attack the cities of men to destroy humans for what they have caused on them. God gives to the good angels Xynex Hava the Sarmadis rock that makes anyone in possession of it the power of knowing everything. The eye on a pyramid becomes Xynex Hava's. The good angel is victorious, and he becomes the light of the planet. He accepts to serve Gog and humans. He is the hope of a better future. Gog gives to Xynex Hava a powerful rock called the Sarmadis, giving him the keys of the cosmos and the infinite source of knowledge. Nikolai becomes angry for not being the one who was rewarded with the rock, and in his ambition declares to wage war evermore. He turns into a great monster, devourer of souls, losing all his glory to the depths of hell. One Ravinical, called Erioclades, tried to negotiate with a Recano. The Recano promised Erioclades that if he joined them, they would make his name greater than Suhat Behavior. The Recano then told Erioclades to kill Suhat Behavior. Erioclades represents humans who, influenced by the forces of darkness, deliver themselves to the enemy to obtain power. This happened in all major world civilizations such as Babylon and Rome. They became traitors of God and were filled with ambition, attempting to kill God's chosen ones. Erioclades met Raver in the desert, raised his sword to make a fatal blow, but Raver was quickly able to defend himself with his sword. Fearing for his life against the forces of darkness, Erioclades offers his soul to the Rocanos, promising to betray Raver. Erioclades became a traitor of God, and he would eventually regret only later after burning in the fire of purgatory. He tries to kill Raver, but something happens right after they begin fighting. Erioclades attempts to kill Raver, but that would be such a terrible and unacceptable situation. A bigger disruption happens in the cosmos to prevent this battle between Raver and Erioclades to proceed any further. Not everything is allowed to happen in the cosmos. God became extremely upset that the Rocanos were now being able to convince the men of ravens to join them. A cosmic creature known as Vlodo turned into a Xhyn tunnel and swallowed Erioclades and Raver at the moment their swords hit each other and both froze in time. Vlodo said, "We should not allow that to happen in this part of the universe." Vlodo is a soul that travels throughout the entire universe by using wormholes connecting the extremes of the cosmos. When he was passing by ravens, he saw the fights between two humans who were once friends of each other. Surat Raven and Euryclades treated each other as brothers before, and this fight was terrifying for Vlodo, who decided to put an end to all that. He turns into a Xingwo tunnel and swallows both, who were frozen in time. Vlodo represents other highly developed extraterrestrial beings who have the keys for all the wormholes in the cosmos. They travel throughout infinity, observing and studying the universe and the mind of souls. When they see something extremely unacceptable, they act to block the situation from going any further. In this case, Vlolo turns into a Xingwo tunnel, swallowing Heracles' Rep Raver, and he also freezes them until a proper time comes to release both of them. Xynix Haver instructed many men of ravens to join him, and this became the Knights of Magogayans. One of them, called Peter, said to the rest of the Knights of Magogayans, Suhapi Haver and Arioclades will be freed from Xingwo at the very end of the presence of Recanons in this planet. We must make war against all who has joined the celestial army of Nikoloi. The Knights of Magogayans are composed of humans willing to fight the evil and ravens. The angels of Magogayans are angels fighting to support the glory of righteousness, the kingdom of Gog and Andromeda Galaxy. Peter represents a prophet who sees the chaos in this planet's civilization. He prophesies about the times they live in. He says that the humans must fight the army of Nikoloi to guarantee the survival of the Word of God. He also says that Red Raven and Euryclades will be released at the end of the times, when the times of darkness will be nearly over. War broke up out in the desert of Armageddon, but the Knights of Magogayans were losing terribly. Wivenrook was decapitated, Pluton ran away, and many knights were killed by the Rucanos, who stepped over them in such a fury never seen before. Magab appeared in the sky saying that he was going to rule ravens. Magab had been defeated by Suhapi Haven, but he rises from the abysm to make war against all creation once more. The forces of darkness rise in establishing Babylon. They destroy and kill many of God's people. This age is horrible, making it seem that the army of God is losing. But even that is part of the plan of redemption. Here we have the crucifixion, but after that comes the resurrection. Xynex Raver then threw the Sarmadis rock to ravens and hit the body of Riverrock. His red rejoined his body in a miracle. He flew to the sky and showed Magog the rock, saying, It is us who have the Sarmadis rock. We are the true rulers of ravens. Wivenrook was an Indian member of the Knights of Magogayans, who had just been decapitated. After Xynex Haver throws the rock to Wivenrook, his head rejoined his body. He rises up with the rock in his hand and yells in favor of God. Here the tide starts turning on the side of God. Xynex Haver throws the Sarmadis rock to Wivenrook, who after death rises again to fight Nikoloi. The evil beings think that they had won, but then a miracle happens, and the tide turns. It is necessary for there to make it seem that war is over, but evil only lasts for a short while. Goodness is eternal, while evil is filled with pride and ignorance. The triumph of ignorance lasts but a second, but goodness for all ages to come. Seeing that the age of darkness is nearing its end, only then Vlolda decides to bring back the two frozen beings back into the stage. At that instant, Vlolda appeared as a tornado, spitting Serap Raven and Arioclades. Both woke up after being frozen, but Serap Raven was hit by the Sarmadis rock thrown by Wiverrock. Serap Raven grabbed the rock from the ground while Arioclades was still confused with the time he was frozen. Serap Raven said, Arioclades, you have caused great disappointment to God. This is what you chose for yourself. The Indian Wivenrock threw the rock to Surapi Haven. After Suhab came out of Voldo, Vloldo had appeared again from one of his trips to vomit Suhapi Haven and Ericlades, seeing that victory was near. Here the magic is almost over. Surap Raver now has the Sarmadus rock, and is very mad at Ericlades' betrayal. Now is the time to revenge and bring God's glory to the universe. From the rock came a bright light, and Pluton, who was running away, decided to return to the battlefield. Seeing the light, all in battle became in a state of trance, and Pluton jumped over Euryclades and killed him by tightening the neck of Euryclades with his arm. Pluton was an African knight of Magogaean. He was running away from the battlefield, scared to death. Surat Raver puts everyone under a state of trance, however, and it becomes easier to win a battle against the enemy.
Pluton returns to the battlefield and kills Heracles. This Archimedes rock gives courage to the weak and strength like no other. It then becomes easier to fight, having the approval and support of the Almighty. Pluton then kills Heracles. This represents Persia's overthrow and destruction of Babylon. Magog yelled, Rucanos, it's not time to sleep. We are in the middle of a war. Attack the Magogeians. Peter was still impressed by what had happened, and when he was to make a fatal blow with his sword on a Rucano, he was hit by a surprise when that Rucano turned into Magog and defended himself with his sword. Once again, Magog appears by entering the body of one of the Rucanos. He knows that the end of his time is drawing near, and that he is having the last chance to do something. With no more Babylon, Magog becomes troubled. He knows that he has almost no more time left. He is desperate to do something. He knows that he is doomed to fail. He can't resist the temptation to fight against God's army. Magog said Nicolaoid has descended into a great rage to destroy once and for all the world so loved by God. Magog with his sword cut Peter's face, forming an X, after a near miss and attempt to disfigure Peter's face that also defended himself. Magog cuts Peter, a Chinese knight of Magogeian, in the shape of an X in the face. Peter starts to bleed on his face, dropping blood on the ground as he looks up. The enemy makes an X-shaped cut on Peter's face. Remember that Peter represents the prophets and all of their suffering on the planet civilization. The blood represents life, and the bleeding is that through blood sacrifice, goodness will win against the forces of Nicolaoid. Seret Raver then throws the rock to Xhyn who was hovering over the desert, but the rock is clutched by Nicolaoid. Nicolaoid raises his voice in a show of lightning and thunder, saying, I am greater than Xhyn Gog allows Nicolaoid, the evil angel, to have disarmed this rock for a time and times. This is the revival of Babylon, the sack of Babylon, who is Babylon the Great. The power of the all-seeing is given to him. He does not know, however, that this feeling is last before being thrown in hell, to never leave the place ever again. He enjoys the beauty and power, claiming to be God himself. The Tower of Babel reaches the havens. The Babylonians think they have control over everything, and that there is nothing that is capable to destroy them. Their pride is like never seen before in history. The rock, however, realized that Nicolaoid did not deserve such powers due to a disruption in his soul, and blows on him. The explosion shatters Nicolaoid into pieces. The rock was gone, and so was Nicolaoid. Nicolaoid tries to take the place of God, and he enjoys that for a short while, but then the rock explodes in his hand, blowing him up as well. His pride destroys him forever. In the middle, in the climax of his power and rule, Nicolaoid is surprised by an attack. He explodes all of a sudden with the rock in his hands. He is humiliated, and the pyre collapses from the very height to the bottomless pit, this time to never rise again. Xynex with great power started throwing lightning to all Rucanos who precipitated in hell, joining Magog, who could not resist the fury of Surat Raver, who speared his sword into Magog's heart. Gog with great violence opened a huge hole in the ground for more Rucanos to fall in. After everything evil fell inside the hole, Gog closed it and said, I declare you Xynex the ruler of ravens, while I am the ruler of Andromeda Galaxy. May all of you who love justice live a happy life forever. God wins the battle after making the evil angels a fool of themselves. They thought that they had the universe, but they have the bottomless pit instead. Xynex is given the whole planet. He is the holy ruler, king of kings, the truly great soul that has all the right to be called the king of peace, joy, and wisdom. As soon as he said that, all the good people who died in the war were resurrected and joined the great celebration of victory. A new creation is then made. This time there's only one tree, the tree called the tree of life, who is Xynex Paradise returns to the planet, but now there's no way for humans to fall ever again. They are resurrected for life, marked by God's name, and will know absolutely no evil and sin. This is the end of chaos and the start of all eternity. Elohim Navis yelled to Xeno, Wake up, man, the 1,000 years are now over. Xeno woke up from his 1,000 years dream. It was soon revealed by Gog himself that none of it had ever happened. It was only a nightmare. Hello everyone, this is part 2 of the Battle of Gods of Gaul. Volodo spends 3 years talking to Xhyn, giving him instructions, but for Xhyn the time only lasted for 1 hour. Xhyn became utterly confused and he begins to rise through colorful dimensions, filled with brains, waves, and geometric figures. He was not understanding what was happening to him. His eyes were like spirals, seeing so many things all at once. He looked around to see if he could find Vlodel, who was talking to him some time ago, but all he could see was several stars in the dark empty space in every direction that he looked. Then a bright purple star shines in front of him, and it seemed that he was approaching it. As he got closer to the star, he saw the great Vajran, who was half fish and half man, holding a torch and wearing a pointed hat. Vajran was next to a tower in the middle of a city in the shape of a square with 4 pyramids, one in each of its sides, and 4 towers, one of each corner. Next to each side was a beam with a total of 4 around the city. There was Arioclades representing the Asians, Sonjicrave, the Latins, Loniferionge, the Afros, and Zeno, the North Europeans. They were in great glory, guarding the most beautiful city called Aria. Zeno was surprised to see Arioclades and asked, "I can't believe that you are here with us." Before Arioclades was able to give any explanations, Zeno once again began to travel, crossing the Xingal tunnel and spinning inside the wormhole. At the end of the tunnel there was a bright light, and he saw the following scene. All of a sudden there appeared among a fire 3 knights of Magogaeans. They were 2 Japanese women called Plink and Trink, and the other person was Uplanix from a faraway planet. The 3 said together, "We are here to rescue Arioclades." Uplanix said, "We are the Magogaeans. Here's a list of the most popular of us all. Serap Raver, the captain; Peter the prophet; Weavindook, the expert in philosophy; Fluton, the strength and courage; Arioclades, the mysterious; Plink and Trink, the twins who play musical instruments; and Uflanix, the guru." I, Uflanix, was talking to Wivrak about the current situation of Arioclades, and brought with me Trink and Plink to rescue him from this fire. Trink and Plink then played their guitar, bringing joy to Arioclades, who started having visions of all the wonders of the cosmos. Trink and Plink then showed to Arioclades the bag that Olga the wizard carries with him. It contained several books he wrote, a spotting scope, a monocular, and a binocular. Everywhere Olga goes, he takes his bag from which he can use his equipment to explore the heavens, and from it he learns the boundless knowledge of God. Uflanix then said, "Arioclades, you are such an important soul that Vlodel prevented you from killing Suhapi-Haven, and Xavier threw you in this fire. Now I can see that you regret all what you have done wrong." Uflanix then grabbed a little sphere from his pocket. He opened and a bright light came out of it. Arioclades was blinded by the light, and when he was able to see again, he saw that he had been transported to a horrible place filled with thorns. There he saw Suhapi-Haven fighting against a huge purple eye with arms all around, trying to grab and destroy Suhapi-Haven. Suhapi-Haven had his hair turned red, and he was trying to fight the monster with a sword, but the monster's arms were very strong. Suhapi-Haven was unable to cut one of the arms, and the monster grabbed Suhapi-Haven with one of his long arms. From the eye came a laser that hit Suhapi-Haven, who was about to die. Arioclades was wearing a mask, and he jumped in the scene. When the monster saw Arioclades, the big eye aimed the laser at Arioclades. But when that happened, Suhapi-Haven was able to let go of his sword, which fell right into the eye of the careless monster, popping it. When the eye popped, much blood came out, and a huge explosion occurred, saving the life of Suhapi-Haven. Suhapi-Haven and Arioclades had blood spilled all over them. Suhapi-Haven then asked, "Who are you that saved me?" Arioclades said, "You do not want to know. I am a friend, but I do not want you to tell who I am." Suhapi-Haven said, "Please tell me who you are." Uflanix then appeared magically in the scene and yelled, "Please tell Suhap who you are." Arioclades took off the mask, and in complete shame and disgust for his past, he said, "I am he who tried to kill you in the battle of Armageddon." So Happy Haven was surprised and said, "You are back. I can't believe you saved me." Ericles then said, "I saved you, and I am very sorry for my past. I'm here paying for what I've done to you. I would like to tell you I'm sorry, but I would prefer moving to another portion of the universe. I will never forget what I did to you. I'm just letting you know that I regret my mistakes in the past, but I chose to live far away from you." So Happy Haven was amazed, scared, and surprised at the same time. Ericles and Uflonix disappeared soon after. When Ericles opened his eyes, he was found in heaven, in a beautiful garden with many flowers of all different colors. His sufferings were gone, and he had been finally saved. The angel appeared next to him and said, "Now please write all this story into a book." And this is the book that Ericles wrote, the story of Amagogean about Beldergord. Zeno watched all of this story and was amazed. He then looked at Heracles next to one of the sides of the city of Ario, floating in a vast space filled with stars. Then all of a sudden, a lightning hit the tower next to Vajran, and immediately all five beings forgot about what Heracles ever did, and all they could remember was that they never left the heaven. They knew something unpleasant had happened, but it felt more like a dream and not reality. Zeno then said, "The world where evil existed and in which we fought to survive against death and sin, all of it was just a really bad dream. In reality, we never left heaven. All of it was just a lie. My goodness, what imagination. Not a good imagination, I should say." They all realized that they had lived not in reality, but in a horrible dream, and that they were now finally awake. All of a sudden, from the top of the tower next to Vajran rose a bright red rock. Vajran said, "Here's the Sarmadis rock, and whoever gains possession of it is the knower of all things in the cosmos." Loniferiongi and Sonji Crepe rose from the two sides of the city, and they stayed next to each side of the rock, crossing a tunnel of blue and gray lights, with the rock floating in between them, and they were heading towards a great giant at the end of the tunnel. Upon arrival, they pushed the rock forward towards Xhyn, who grabbed the rock and placed it on top of his rod that he held with his hands in the upright position. He was then glorious with a show of lightning and thunder over a city that looked like that it was on a white moon's surface with stars dotting the sky. Xhyn said, "May it be, Sumeria shall rise." The Xena was transported to the desert of Iraq near the Persian Gulf in what is now Uruk. There was a very strong and hairy man called Robert Tiriano. A spaceship landed over the desert while Robert Tiriano was cutting some wood. From the disc-shaped ship came a man from a door that opened. The man approached the surprised Robert Tiriano and said, holding a wheel, "I am Darte, and I came here to talk to you." When Robert Tiriano saw Darte and the wheel that he was looking, he said, kneeling down, "That is exactly what I was looking for. I need something round so that people can have transportation." Darty agreed. After some time talking, Darty spent a week with Robert Soriano, helping him build the world's first carriages pulled by donkeys, from which he was able to travel up north to Scythia. Zeno had all these visions about what had happened, and at last he could not understand where he was again as he began crossing an orange-red tunnel, and he was also spinning while crossing. His eyes were like spirals. At the end of the tunnel, he meets Vlodo again, who gave Zeno a book. When Zeno grabbed the book, Vlodo said, "Let us build Samaria in Mesopotamia." Zeno said, "We sure will." Then Vlodo said, "Point your finger to that man over down there." When Zeno looked down to earth, he saw Noman sleeping over a rock in the desert of Iraq near Uruk. Zeno then pointed his finger to that man's head and said, "May it be." Vlodo said, "That man's name is Jacovinita, and he will start the idea of civilization and will become the first king in all of Samaria." Zeno then saw a clock ahead of him, and time moved forward at a fast pace. He then had a vision of the great city on the moon. Vlodo then said, "Humans were successful, and this shows the glory of the heavenly host. They have reached space and shall spread their seed throughout the universe, praising the universal Lord." Following this, Zeno had a vision of Zynix Haven in full glory. At last, Vlodo showed Zeno a page with the following. Vlodo then said, "Pray every day and worship every day, so nightmares shall never become reality, and so that the lights will be upon all the universe for all eternity." A huge explosion then occurred, and that was the birth of a new universe with a new heaven and a new earth. And Vlodo said, "May a new cycle begin." Hello, everyone. Today we're going to do a thought experiment. Let's imagine a really advanced human civilization of the future with a really powerful technology where they're capable to travel to the future and to the past. And that led to them establishing some rules on how to deal with this technology because when you have a civilization that is capable to travel to the past in a way that they can also travel to the future, the past is no longer safe. Because if somebody that is not trustworthy goes back to the past with not good intentions, it could change the past, and that could lead to a chaotic situation. And then, of course, if this individual changes the past, it's changing the past in a parallel reality, in another dimension. Because if you believe in a multiverse, you believe that in each universe there's a different history. So if this person or this whatever, this group of people go back to the past and they change something, the future of that reality that they change will no longer be the future that we are in right now, which is our present. And the question is, where did our present go if they change the past? Well, the multiverse could explain that by stating that, yes, they changed the past for that universe, but at the moment that they changed that past, now the future from that past will be a parallel reality. And that's where the multiverse comes into play. So, a really advanced civilization that is able to travel through wormholes, that is able to travel to the past, future, that is able to use the wormholes to travel to other star systems and other worlds, that has built several structures around their star to gather energy, and several cities and satellites and rings of, spaceships in the shape of rings where you have an entire community living on it throughout the solar system, orbiting the sun or orbiting Jupiter or Saturn or orbiting Mars. This civilization that has explore the earth to the fullest, understanding the deep ocean as much as high atmosphere, who is able to go to Mars and land there or orbit Mars, building satellites around the red planet, exploring the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and even venturing beyond the solar system through these wormholes, making travel faster between stars. This civilization of course, needs rules, just like we have rules, because if we're able to travel to the past, we need rules. We can say you cannot go back and change what's in there. So, and because they have control of who can go to the past and who can't, um, or because they have control, or maybe they prohibit this technology altogether, but they still have possession of how it can be done. This means that they have total control of the space-time realm surrounding their world and nearby stars. And if they know about the existence of other beings or other life forms in other planets, they also observe those planets to learn about their own and learn about how they can explore the universe. And this is how an advanced civilization would be, expanding beyond their world and expanding within the world, like building entire cities and nations underground. We don't have to just live in space. We can live underground. We can live in the ocean, right under the water. We can live in high mountains. We can live on the moon. We can live on Mars. We can live on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. I mean, we can just live, right? So this is what advanced civilization is. So it's space-time, control of everything, who goes in, who goes out. If a spaceship or something shows up at the fringes of the solar system, or advanced computers can immediately detect, and this brings control of not only our world, but all the solar system nearby stars, leading to a complete and well-developed structure of civilization through space and in between worlds. Uh, this is how I see an advanced civilization in the future. Thanks for watching.